We're recording now. It's all live. It's all happening.
It's fine. It's all going to go fine.
Okay.
Okay. Episode 1. Let's get into it.
Yep.
Welcome, listeners all, to Balrogs and Blasters. What is Balrogs and Blasters? Well, let's go into it. This is a terrible start.
That was good. No, I like it.
That was a terrible start. Okay. Well, Balrogs and Blasters. It is a sci-fi and fantasy podcast. We're covering movies. We're covering games. We're covering books. We're covering pop cultures galore. Are we the only podcast that does this kind of stuff? Who knows? It's possible. I don't listen to enough podcasts to know.
But be aware that we're going to go on tangents. We don't really know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So if we start wandering off into realms that we didn't even think we were going to wander into, just try and stay with us because we'll get back on track.
Oh, I mean, I don't want to promise that, but I think the tangents are kind of, we can just say it's part of our charm. We can make our ineptness part of just our charm and our USP or unique selling point. If you're a fan of acronyms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this still part of the podcast?
I mean, probably. We can make it. It's we'll finesse it and curate it as we need to.
Yeah.
I think it's probably important that we say who we are, though. My name is Sam, and with me here is my co-host and friend Patrick.
Hello, everybody.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff to know who we are already talking. Patrick, now we've been friends for a while now. Would you like to put on the podcast officially that I am your best friend?
Do I want to make that commitment at this stage in our friendship? You're one of my best friends.
Oh. That's somehow worse. Ladies and gentlemen, you do not need to adjust your sets. The static sound coming out of your listening devices is my heart being ripped into. That's fair.
Yeah.
I don't need to know who's in the group. I'm just glad to know that I'm part of the party. So we should probably talk about why we're actually doing this, whatever this is, before we do it. So I think it's fair to say, we like podcasts and we like talking to each other and we like a lot of the same pop culture stuff. It's a lot of sci-fi stuff. It's a lot of fantasy stuff. It's a lot of movies. It's a lot of games. It's a lot of comic books. It's a lot of books. It's a lot of stuff. And the tangents that we were talking about, that's a big part of it as well. So we figured there's got to be a way to combine all these to provide just the people out there with some top quality, rich and creamy content. And we thought, Patrick, you birthed the idea, I think it's fair to say, of doing a podcast.
Well, several pints of Guinness birthed the idea.
Well, yeah.
I think we'll have to give a fair credit there. Yeah, so really it is something that we came up with while we were in the pub.
Yeah, that is fair.
Basically we're saying gold here and no one is recording it, no one is listening to it. So we just want to share it with you people.
Yeah. And there was, of course, we were talking one day in the pub and someone came up to us and said, I'm just overhearing your conversation. Is there a way that I can listen to this kind of on my own terms on a weekly or bi-weekly basis? And we said, sure, well, we'll look into it. Should have gotten their name. Should have gotten an email or something. But that's,
we will call this person Pretzel Girl.
Pretzel Girl. And maybe we'll get them in as an intern.
Yes.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Because as we said, we need someone who knows what they're doing around here. So we should probably talk about the kind of stuff that we're going to cover. We've kind of covered it a little bit already. But it is going to be the movies that we love, the books and the games that we love, the stuff that's, the news that's coming in on those kinds of subjects. If there's news coming out, if there's trailers coming out, if there's things like this week, which was Gamescom, which was a big part of what we're going to be talking about. And any of those fun subjects that we find interesting, and even stuff that's not current in the news sphere for these kind of subjects, just random bits and pieces that we think might be interesting to talk about.
Yeah, and each week we'll try and start off with the news, get a bit of structure into it, and I think that's what we're going to be starting out with today.
That is correct. We are going to be talking about the news, the stuff that's been coming in this week, and we thought we'd have a topic for the week as well. And kind of in line with what's been going on this week, we are going to be talking about director's cuts of the movies that we love and whether they are actually worth doing and if they bring something new to the table. And then after that, we'll be talking about some other little bits and pieces. And finishing it off with a flurry, if we possibly can. So what we'll do is we will kick off with the news. Patrick, I'm going to let you start off with this first one. I'm going to tell you what it is, though. I'm not going to throw you in.
Thank you.
So we've heard tell this week, PlayStation Portal, the new portable PlayStation handheld.
Yes.
It's going to be hitting the shelves.
Yes. Basically a PlayStation controller that's been cut in half, an LCD screen put in the middle, and it doesn't play anything on it natively. You have
Yeah.
to have a PS5,
Yeah.
and you have to be connected to Wi-Fi to stream it over. Now, you can obviously be connected outside as long as you have proper connection. You can be in a hotel, you can be wherever you are.
Yeah.
As long as you have a proper connection, you can play
Did you say in a hotel?
in a hotel. Yes.
Okay.
Why not in a hotel?
Well,
I've left my PlayStation 5 at home. I want to play some Horizon. I'm in a hotel.
Yeah.
I pull out this ridiculously expensive thing, which is €200.
200. Yeah. Yeah.
And I just start playing with latency and all that kind of stuff. They say it is optimized, so it's not going to be like what you do with your phone at the moment, where it's a bit laggy, it's a bit stuttery.
Yeah.
But it's yet to be seen.
Okay.
The only big drawback that I see on it is there's no Bluetooth on it.
Yeah.
So if you want to use wireless headset, you have to buy the new ones that Sony are bringing out.
Yeah.
So it has a specific.
Is it PlayStation Link they're calling it? That's you have to get a specific kind of Sony headset.
Yes.
Where you can listen into it.
And there's only two headsets at the moment: earbuds and the PlayStation Pulse Pro, I believe it's called.
Okay.
But the technology is being licensed out, so there will be third parties in the future. But it is a pain.
Okay. And like, just from my point of view, what I'm trying to figure out with this thing is, if someone's playing my PS5, no one else plays my PS5. But let's say someone was in my house playing my PS5, and I wanted to play a different game separately via the portal.
No.
So you can't. Okay.
No.
Okay.
It's basically playing on your PS5 and being streamed to you.
Okay.
It's just not going to your TV.
Okay.
So it's really for the situations where someone else is using your main TV.
Okay.
Or you're sitting on the toilet and you want to continue playing.
Okay.
And I can see some people would want this. I'm not one of those people.
Yeah.
But I can see maybe you would want it. You know, you're talking about not using the TV in the living room too much, or giving up a bedroom for growing family and things like that.
Yeah, because I want to be playing my PS5, but I also want the credit of spending time with my family. So I think a good way to do that is to stream it through this remote control while everyone else is watching something on TV.
It would just break my heart because I've invested in my OLED TVs with HDR and Dolby Vision, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And not having that and just looking at this tiny screen, it's just not for me.
Because it's a 1080p resolution screen, right? So it's only going to get you so far in terms of.
But it is small, so it should look. It should look good.
Yeah, I can see how it would be good for certain games that you can get on the PS5. I think there are certain games where it's not going to be. It's not going to be like how they were designed to be seen. It's like a James Cameron movie being watched on your phone. Like, you know how he gets all kind of bent out of shape about that kind of stuff.
But that's how you watch all James Cameron movies.
Oh yes, I do. Yeah, I watch them in 5-minute increments while I'm on the loop. Yeah, it's the way I always do. I still haven't gone through Avatar 2. I'll get there eventually. I just haven't been to the loo enough to get through the end of this film. So maybe one of us will be getting, possibly. We'll have to wait and see.
It will probably feature on our YouTube series. I bought something stupid.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And there is going to be no shortage of stuff for that. That is a guarantee. I don't mind guaranteeing it now. You know, I will invest the money into making that content. Okay, so the next thing we will talk about is the Xbox Series X wraps. Now, when you first sent me this note about this news, I thought it meant that they were no longer making the Xbox Series X. They said that they had wrapped production.
No. So this is in response to, I believe they're called the PlayStation 5 Blades, where you can take them off your PlayStation 5, replace them. They're selling the Spider-Man 2 Special Editions Blades. Not anywhere in Ireland that I've been able to find so far. Yeah. But if I can get my hands on them, I will. Yeah. But this is basically it's kind of like do you remember Trapper Keepers or those note?
I think you know things? That
I don't. they were note taking things. So it was a particular plastic.
Yeah.
That wrapped around the notebook. Yeah. And stuck on with Velcro. It's very similar. So it's basically the same thing.
Okay.
On your Xbox Series X, the big fridge-looking thing that it is, you can wrap this around, and it turns it into a Starfield limited edition.
Okay.
Or the other two are two camo ones, which I really don't care for, but the Starfield one looks pretty good.
Okay.
It's not permanent. It's not like a vinyl wrap that you're going to have to rip off and discard. You can take it off when you want. You can swap them around. It's going to be interesting to see what they come out with. But I'm definitely interested in it.
Okay.
Because getting any kind of limited edition Xbox Series X at the moment in Ireland is nearly impossible.
I was going to say that I won't be getting one. The main reason being that I don't have an Xbox Series X. The question to you, Patrick, is there one of these wraps that is so good it will convince me to get an Xbox Series X just to have the wrap alone?
So as I said, there's only 3 at the moment.
Yeah.
Now we've got Fable coming out in a couple of years. We've got other Xbox exclusives that hopefully will tickle your.
No, I mean, what it will tickle regardless.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, like Fable is one of those games where that's probably the game that would convince me to get it.
And I'd be very curious to see what they come out with, because this is a prime opportunity. And PlayStation, the PlayStation Blades for Spider-Man, this is the first time that they're doing it.
Yeah.
That wasn't a limited edition console, so it'll be interesting to see.
Do you want to hear my prediction about the next PlayStation?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a theory that each PlayStation that comes out, it changes from curvy edges to straight corners and edges. So you had the PS2, which was just like straight edges, right?
Right.
Then you had the PS3, which had kind of that curve along the top, had that kind of bump, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at them.
Yeah. PlayStation 4, again, straight edges, quite like the PS2.
Oh, that one's
and then you have the PlayStation 5, which has kind of more of the curvy edges. It looks more like a
Wi-Fi
broadband hub. Yeah. It looks like Wi-Fi. So my theory is PlayStation 6, all straight edges, baby. That's all it's going to be. That's what I'm thinking. It's not the most
sharp, straight edges.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of technology that will cut you.
It's just going to cut you off. Like, they're not going to be able to keep it in a cardboard box because it will just slice through it.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a Japanese knife. It's going to be great.
Yeah, of course. Before then, we're probably going to get a PlayStation 5 Pro.
Yes.
PlayStation 5 Slim. All those variations.
Absolutely. I have zero predictions for those. All I know is I have my one theory about the shape of the next serious PlayStation that comes into production. But hey, why don't we scoot on over from games and move into something a bit more movie based, if you don't mind.
Let's hear it.
We've got some delays coming up.
Yes,
delays of movies. Now, what's interesting is whenever I see the news about the films that are being delayed, it always says kind of amid the strikes. It never says caused by the strikes, and it never says it's not caused by the strikes. It's saying that there is maybe a correlation, but not a causality. And there are a lot of, the ones we're going to talk about here. So we have Dune 2, which is now being pushed out to March 15th, 2024.
It's fine by me.
Yep, it's no issue. I mean, to be honest, when it comes with these kind of situations, when it's like strikes, and I feel like there are sometimes publications that will be like, oh, these strikes, they're pushing out movies and we're really annoyed about it. But then you have to kind of look at it and say, well, I mean, they're striking for a reason.
Yeah, like us here at Balrogs and Blasters, we fully support the strikes. What they're doing is really important. They're generating the content that we're talking about.
Yeah,
so whatever they need to be able to achieve what they're building, and make a living, we're all for. So pushing out a movie isn't really going to change our lives.
No, exactly. And it's also like it's not the writers and actors who are choosing when the film comes out. It's the studio that's deciding when the film comes out. So,
well, it's the studios deciding not to engage with the
with
the writers and the actors as well. So.
Yeah, they're making those decisions, so they can be like, amid all these strikes, they're basically saying, we've made the choice not to put these out this time. So Dune 2, or Tune, as it's definitely going to be called. It should be called that, really, I think. Is going to be out March 15th, 2024. So that also means that they're going to push Godzilla multiplied by Kong from March to April 2024 to make room for Dune.
But I believe we're still getting the TV series.
Yes, we are. We're getting the Apple TV series, which will be coming out before then, which we've seen some stills of, which look pretty good. We're going to get multiple aged Kurt Russell in the form of his son, Wyatt Russell. So that'll be interesting to see as well.
Who apparently has been doing that for a long time. All the way back to Soldier. He played young...
Did he really?
Kurt Russell in Soldier.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I mean, if I needed a reason to watch Soldier, and I was definitely looking for one, then that is the reason. I had no idea about that. That's exciting. So we'll have the series coming up, and then it's only moving it out by a month, so it's not too bad. And then off the back of all of that, you're getting the fact that the Lord of the Rings animated movie, War for the Rohirrim, is going to be moved out from March 2024 to December 2024.
Now that film that wasn't even on my radar. I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay.
I didn't like the Amazon show was fine.
Yeah.
You know my feelings about The Hobbit. I really didn't like those 3 films.
I know.
So this animated film just doesn't. It's nothing that I'm really interested in. So they can delay it as long as they want. That's fine by me.
You will not be pressured.
I know.
You will not be pressured to turn against the strikers. Like for me, it's that kind of property where I will just take anything I can get. So I am excited to see it. I'm not going to, again, like if it comes out a bit later, that's okay. I can just watch the Hobbit movies again. Like, that's fine. I'll do that. Don't worry about it.
Don't watch the Hobbit movies again.
Why not?
They're bad. I'm
Okay.
going to put you in a barrel and roll you down a river, and then we'll see what you feel like afterwards.
Only to throw me down with a few of my dwarf friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Evangeline Lilly is not going to be saving you at the end, I can tell you that much.
Oh, that'll make me sad.
with her ever increasing poor hairstyle choices.
I will tell you that you are really taking Evangeline Lilly to task. I will say this though, just on the subject of the Hobbit movies and the Lord of the Rings movies, I was always surprised they never made you know how they have the Harry Potter world situation in Universal Studios. I was always really surprised that they never did a Middle Earth style version of that. If only for the fact that so many of the parts in, especially the Hobbit movies, felt like they were geared towards that kind of thing. Like you look at the barrel scene, and you think that's a
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean style ride, or I remember in Thorpe Park, which is a UK theme park. There's the Ribena Rumba Rapids. It really reminded me of that. It's just like we got a body of water that's like a stream. We'll just throw some barrel shaped seats in there, and people.
It was coloured like Ribena.
The water wasn't, but the seats were.
Okay.
I think it was really a final thought.
I wanted to be going down a river of Ribena.
Oh, I mean, I'll tell you what. If that happened in the Hobbit movies, that would have made it a different thing altogether.
Yeah, I probably would watch it because
it would have distracted Evangeline Lilly. Like, all right, I'll save it. Is that blood? What is that? It smells fruity and delicious, but low in sugar. Interestingly, so Dune was pushed out. Apparently, Warner Bros. Considered pushing out the Color Purple remake and Aquaman 2, which are both coming out in December, but they decided against moving those ones out, which I kind of get in the sense that I don't think they want to push out Aquaman 2 any more than has already been done with all the reshoots and stuff.
Plus, I assume James Gunn is just gunning to have it over and done with, and just try and forget it.
Oh yeah, 100%. They just want to get that thing out the door because they need to make at least a little bit of money off the back of this thing, which is just the last breath of a dying franchise. Also interestingly about that War for Rohirrim thing, again, it wasn't really on my radar. I knew something about it, but I assumed it was like a TV show. I didn't think it was going to be a movie. It turns out it is going to be a movie, which just goes to show that I really need to pay more attention to when I'm reading things.
Yeah.
Off the back of that, talking about TV shows, X-Men 97.
Yes.
Another animated piece of an old property that we both enjoy is coming to Disney+. We don't know when it's coming out, but they have released the Funko Pops for this TV show that we don't know when it's going to come out.
So we're talking Jubilee, are we?
We are talking, well, at the moment we know it's going to be Cyclops, it's going to be Gambit, it's going to be Magneto, Bishop, and Storm are the ones that we know are going to happen, but more are expected to follow.
Okay.
So I don't know if you'll be interested in getting any of those, Patrick.
No. While I do have a collection of Funko Pops, it was not intentional.
Yeah.
So
did you inherit them from a
No.
relative?
I used to indulge in a little thing called Loot Crate, where every month they sent me a load of tat. and that's what has filled up studio space today.
Yeah.
So no, I don't need more Funko Pops in my life. I wasn't running to GameStop to get the limited edition ones before GameStop shut down, where everything was being reduced, because I believe they're all now in HMV. So
HMV is back.
Yes, and full of Funko Pops.
It is 90% Funko Pops, and the other 10% is T-shirts with Funko Pop characters on them. So it is interesting. Like with that series, it kind of reflects what I think the whole series is about, which is just like cashing in on this series that people who are now in their like 30s and 40s are watching. I think it's not so much. I don't think the story is going to be that.
Well, I'm more interested. Do they keep with the cheaper animation style?
Yeah.
Was that a style that they wanted to go for back then, or was it a budget restraint?
Yeah.
Are they going to try and improve it, and will that sort of rob the soul of it? Or even if they do replicate it exactly, is that going to resonate with anyone? Because trying to watch it on Disney Plus at the moment, the original series, the sound is awful, the lip syncing is terrible. Sometimes the wrong person is talking, and it's a different voice, very similar to what used to happen with the TMNT Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle TV series.
I knew.
Well, just for our listeners, where it'll be Splinter's voice, but it'll be Michelangelo talking.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm just curious to see how faithful they are. Is it a faithful recreation, or is it a evolution of what was originally done?
I'm hoping that they do add in like a load of those little like mistakes. You know, like Cyclops comes out and his whole suit is yellow and his strap is blue. Like, you know, they added those little bits and pieces, and then the song, the voices are all wrong. I think that's what the people want.
Yeah.
Patrick, did you have any idea that David Ayer wrote or co-wrote the first Fast and Furious film?
No.
No, I had no idea either, but he has been chatting about it this week to no end. He was basically talking about the fact that he co-wrote the first movie and he basically had nothing to show for the fact that he wrote it, which I'm guessing means he didn't get paid any residuals off the back of the success of the franchise in total. I think the real question about this, I don't know a lot about the first Fast and Furious film. I've only watched it once.
It was a long time ago. They're stealing VCRs in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that isn't a DVD player.
It's a combo.
Oh, it's a combo.
It's portable combos. So it's TV, DVD, and VHS.
Okay.
From what I remember, that's what's in the back of the truck. We'll have to watch it again.
Well, let's do it now. Okay, so yeah, that does kind of date it. I think the thing I'm also interested in is David Ayer the one who came up with the problematically named racing competition Race Wars that's in it?
It's a race war. That's definitely sounds like a random word generator that they use. Like if that script was being written today, they'd be definitely accused of using ChatGPT or something like that.
Yeah.
Give us a name for a illegal race.
Yeah.
Race wars. There you go. Done.
I think we should then spend the next 15 minutes trying to come up with alternatives. But I won't give David Ayer the satisfaction.
No.
So, like, looking at that in total, like, Fast and Furious franchise grossed, like, over $7 billion. The first movie made $207 million.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the success of the franchise in total is based upon the success of that first movie.
No, because it had to be Tokyo Drift. That's what really rocketed it to real stardom. You know?
Absolutely. People wanted Han. People wanted to see Han. They didn't care about
Han eating in every single
scene. Yeah.
Doing his best Brad Pitt impersonation.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Because as we all know, Brad Pitt, the only reason he does films is so he can just eat food.
Yeah. I still haven't watched the last Fast and Furious movie, the one with Jason Momoa.
I also haven't watched it. Maybe. Oh, we shouldn't watch the first one. We should watch the last one. Let's do that now.
We should watch them backwards.
The reverse cut.
Yeah, about international spies who become street racers.
Their success and their focus on family rapidly deteriorates along with their wrinkles
Yeah,
and their
yeah.
crow's feet. I think that's definitely the way we should do it.
Yeah.
We will turn it into a memento cut, and we will become heroes. So, Patrick, are you looking forward to Star Trek Day?
Well, Sam. No, I really don't care.
Oh no! But I've got it written here in my notes. Your reaction's so important for this one.
It's. I'm definitely the target audience. I'm definitely getting bombarded with it on Instagram and things like that. But no.
Well, I think that's all we can say. I mean, even if I told you that it was hosted by Jerry O'Connell, no, I'm getting a shrug. All right,
Jerry O'Connell. I like Jerry O'Connell.
Yeah,
Jerry O'Connell, fat kid from Stand by Me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also
Sliders.
Ransom in Lower Decks.
Yeah. But who's fat kid in Stand by Me?
I don't think that's the thing he's known the most for.
No, what I know most from is Carter, where he played a TV detective who moved back to Canada and solved crimes in his hometown.
I was not aware Canada had crimes. That's fantastic.
It had at least one a week.
Ah! They timed out perfectly. So it's on September 8th, which, that was the first day Star Trek was broadcast, which makes sense. Apparently this is like the fourth one. I'm guessing they're trying to basically make it like Star Wars.
Yeah, May the 4th kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I also don't really... Because last year, I think May the 4th fell on International Potato Day, and that was just that I had to make a choice about what it was I was going to celebrate.
You already had the toga on, like you
were. It was a mighty potato.
I think that's fair. So like they'll be doing a whole load of stuff. They'll be announcing bits and pieces. So it'll be an interesting one. But my usual format for this kind of thing is that I will just wait to see the news articles that come out on like Club afterwards to see if there's anything of interest.
At the moment, I'm really only watching the Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds. I've stopped calling it Brave New Worlds.
Were you calling it Brave New Worlds?
I was, unfortunately, for a while.
Oh man, you must have gotten.
Oh, people looked at me like I was insane. Discovery was fine, but it's just we're going into the last season.
Yeah.
It's time for it to end.
That's the tagline of the last season. Come on, guys!
It jumped the shark a while ago for me.
Okay.
And then once Strange New Worlds came along, it really just cemented the fact that Discovery was not a Star Trek show that I wanted to watch.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like it's a Brian Fuller joint all the way through. That it is very indulgent in a good way. Like it really kind of, he knew exactly what he wanted to make with it, and he definitely made it. But I wonder, maybe that helped with, obviously Strange New Worlds is really good, and it's kind of classic Star Trek. Was it even more successful that it came off the back of Discovery, and that it was such like an opposite to this very serious, very kind of sometimes sinister show?
It's a fair point. It is a fair point. It is much more the weekly Planet of the Week kind of thing. But also they have hijinks, they have fun, and they don't shove. A lot of what was happening in Discovery was shoving a message down your throat.
Okay.
It's about family. It's about how we feel. It's how we don't really get a lot of that in Strange New Worlds.
Okay.
But there are hijinks, and that's what I like.
That's fair enough. And some mount as well. That hair isn't getting any sexier. If you do it, it can't be on TV.
I just wish Rebecca Romaine
had
kept her hairdo that she had in Discovery.
Oh, okay.
So she had a huge 1950s bouffant hairstyle in it, and now it's just straight.
Yeah.
It was a look, and I think she should have stayed with that look.
I think that was all Mount's decision. I think he came in with his super stylish hair, and they said, "Oh, this is what Rebecca Romaine's hair going to be." They showed her the big 50s hair, and he was like, "I don't think so.
Yeah,
I do not want any competition with my hair, please."
Not to take away from Gregory Peck's grandson's hair in it as he plays Spock.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That bowl cut is magnificent, and as a bald man, I wish I had that haircut.
So if you could have all your hair back, but you had to have it in just a Spock style bowl cut, and before you make the decision, remember you also have to have the small pointy ended sideburns.
Oh, I would love it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd be quite happy.
Eyebrows too?
We're not talking about eyebrows.
Well, we're talking about hair on the head. I mean, we're not.
No,
not
we don't touch my eyebrows.
Okay, and you'd have to get rid of it.
No, no. In Discovery,
yeah, this is a real monkey's paw situation.
In Discovery, he had a beard.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was keeping his crazy face warm.
You have won this hair battle. I tip my mustache to you. So
Ugh.
What's under that mustache? Oh, it's just some very pale hair. So what we'll do is we'll quickly talk about Gamescom.
Yes.
Gamescom, which I didn't know was a thing until about a week ago. And
yes.
Suddenly my YouTube was full, jam-packed with all these live streams that are coming out, all these trailers that were coming out.
The algorithms got you.
This is, I'm in that whirlpool and I'm just being sucked in and I am loving it.
Yeah, yeah. Biggest news, I think, for me that's come out of Gamescom is around Baldur's Gate 3, which wasn't going to be coming out this year.
Yep.
It was essentially going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive. Well, it is coming out on PlayStation 5 this year, but it wasn't going to come out on Series X. Xbox have made a concession, quite a big concession, and the main issue was on Series X you could have split screen co-op. On the Series S, the cheaper version of the Xbox, you lost that.
Okay.
So because Xbox had said no, it has to be feature parity, they can't be different, only the graphics.
Yeah.
That's now been reversed, and it just opens the floodgates for other companies to go, look, we can't have feature parity.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be it's going to have repercussions. So, but I'm glad Baldur's Gate is coming to the Xbox.
Would you describe it as a game changer? Unintended.
No.
Oh. I'll just pop that pun back in my pocket until I can use it later on. So, Baldur's Gate 3, I did want to talk to you about Baldur's Gate 3 because you have started playing it on PC.
Yeah.
I have yet to start playing it because I'm lazy.
Mm-hmm.
And also because I was keen for the idea of a D&D style game, and until I pull the trigger and actually buy Baldur's Gate 3, I decided I'd try and leap back into Elden Ring after about 8 months or so of not playing it. And it went badly. It went really badly. I died in 30 seconds. It was a terrible experience.
I get the same thing whenever I try and play Spider-Man again.
Yeah.
I'm in New Game Plus at the moment. I jump in, I try and pick it up, and I've forgotten how to play it.
Yeah.
So how you could go back into that terrible game of Elden Ring, I don't know. But
it's not a terrible game. It's just a terrible world. That's the difference. But you've been playing Baldur's Gate.
Yes.
So how are you finding it? Paint me a word picture.
So it really feels like a proper tabletop D&D experience.
Yep.
Just a little bit sexier. Oh well, maybe not sexier. I haven't actually done a live action D&D game. I don't know how sexy they get.
Maybe they're the sexiest thing ever.
Because I've definitely just spent the last week going through every single party member and trying to have sex with them.
Okay.
And that's worked out great.
Yeah.
I'm very glad that I spent so much time customizing my characters, bits and bobs.
Yeah, I did hear you were telling me that there has been issues with Twitch streams of people customizing their character, and they move to the next section and hey, genitals,
vulva B.
Oh man,
you have several selections between them, but when you're playing the game, it's very immersive, very easy to pick up, very hard at times.
Okay.
And very punishing at times as well, where because it's all based off random number generators and stuff like that, you're rolling a dice. A dice is being rolled for every single thing you do.
Yeah.
It can feel punishing. Now there is a feature called karmatic dice. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly, But basically, if you roll several times poorly,
Yeah.
it'll give you a break. But that applies to everyone, even non-playable characters, even your enemies.
Oh, really?
So if they roll badly for a few turns,
Yeah.
it will go, sure, would poor little fella. And that they'll be able to get like a critical hit on you out of nowhere. Yeah. So it's a bit annoying that way, but overall the whole world, the whole tone of it is excellent, and it really is a 10 out of 10 game. You know,
wow.
I've put a lot of hours into it. I'm still in Act 1.
Amazing.
I have to stop trying to bang everyone.
I mean, it seems like it would take up a lot of time that would otherwise be spent, I don't know, adventuring and pillaging and all these kinds of things. But hey, you do you, mate. You do it the way you want to do it. On the subject of kind of fantasy style games, we also got a new trailer and gameplay for Black Myth Wukong.
This is a Souls-like, is it?
It is. It looks Souls-like for sure, and like considering the fact that there's kind of two Souls-like games that came out of Gamescom, kind of quite prominently. One was Black Myth Wukong, and the other was Lords of the Fallen, which is a remake of the original Lords of the Fallen, which came out 2014, I think.
Yeah.
That one is like Lords of the Fallen is way more like Dark Souls. It's got that same kind of vibe of like just grim and horrible, but it also has that kind of function of like kind of the Soul Reaver kind of mechanic where you have a device that puts you into like the ethereal world. It's the same world, but it's all a bit kind of wispy, and things are slightly different. Then you can kind of solve puzzles that way.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be playing either of these games.
Okay.
The closest I'll get to a Souls-like is Jedi, Fallen, and Survivor, and
And to be honest, like Black Myth Wukong seems to take from Jedi Survivor and like the Souls games, even though I'm pretty sure it was being developed before Jedi Survivor was being developed.
So it's an Asian inspired game.
Yeah.
You
play as a monkey, and he has a stick.
So
not doing it credit, but that's
so people are going to be comparing this to Sekiro, I assume.
I think because the combat is quite balletic, and it's quite like it's a lot of leaps and it's quite fluid. I think in that way they're going to compare it to Sekiro. I think Sekiro is more. I think it's more punishing in terms of you have to make sure that you are blocking in a certain rhythm. There's more rhythm, I suppose, to Sekiro. That's a big thing that sets it apart from the other Souls games. But I think with this one, I think you're probably going to get more comparisons to like Survivor and possibly.
Okay.
I'd say Sekiro is going to be in there as well because people are going to draw the line between a game set in Japan and a game set in China, particularly like in this part of the world. But I think the thing I'm most excited about is that he makes very kind of nice, funny sounds when he's attacking. This is kind of like that. It's it's the sound a monkey would make if you gave him a stick and asked him to fight someone.
So people listening at home, that was not a real monkey.
No,
that was Sam himself.
No, we do have a real monkey in here, but he is
silent. He is just sitting over there with his coffee and a cigarette.
Yeah. You want to say something, Brian? No, nothing. I mean, the most boring name you can give to a monkey is
Brian. Brian feels good.
Brian feels good. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, just my final thing on that. One of the locations in the gameplay footage was Windbreak Canyon, which sounds like a joke.
I'm assuming you're going fart region. I'm going with just a coat. It's a nice coat.
Oh yeah. No, Windbreaker. Absolutely. No, yeah. I was definitely going for a fart joke. And then the other trailers we got there, we got Alan Wake 2, which I know you're probably excited
very,
about.
very excited for. Yeah. I just finished the playthrough of Alan Wake 1 again, so the remaster.
I was always skeptical about playing games like Alan Wake, the ones that are more kind of story focused, because I always felt like they would be the equivalent to, when you play Gears of War, and there'd be a scene where you have to like take a phone call for your earpiece, and then you have to walk slowly for the next like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It always felt like it was just that. I think that's probably not doing it justice. I know it's definitely not doing it justice, but I think I feel like they're action light and combat light, compared to.
It was also terrifying.
Oh well, you see, yeah.
Yeah, like your main weapon was a flashlight.
Oh, scary.
Yeah, like you were literally just fighting against the darkness.
Yeah. And then you like click the button and it's like the flashing version of the flashlight, and you're like, no, I want a steady stream.
Wow.
Yeah. That's the scariest thing about flashlights.
No, the scariest thing about flashlights is running out of batteries.
Oh yeah, that's true. And then you do that thing that they do in films where you like hit it.
Oh yeah.
That's how it works.
Why does this not work?
It's like a clapper.
But yeah, Alan Wake 2. It's on
Yeah.
my.
I think like looking at the trailer, because there's like there's live action stuff in there which I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, this is the one that will probably push me towards these kind of games. So I'm looking forward to playing that. And then like in the vein of kind of more kind of standard action games, you've got Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Yes.
Which is definitely feels like it's going more stealth, going to return more of a return to kind of stealth gameplay. It seems a lot less gimmicky.
Yeah, it's very much back to Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah.
Even when you look at Syndicate or the other ones that came out before Origins, they'd already strayed away from that kind of assassin. Although, what was the one set in France? I can't remember at the moment.
Yeah.
But that
Assassin's Creed France?
No, it was Unity.
Oh, okay.
Assassin's Creed Unity. That had much more of a planning assassination thing. Although my favorite is still Syndicate, just because of the whole London Victorian age steampunk vibe.
Well, you're a dandy in yourself, like that's your bread.
But Mirage has me really excited because I fell off Valhalla very quickly. I was 40 hours in and I was just doing busy work.
You were doing side missions. You love a side mission.
I do love a good side mission, but these weren't good side missions. This was just a lot of busy work, and I lost interest.
Okay,
which is a shame. I'll probably go back to it at some stage, but definitely Mirage is more where I want Assassin's Creed to be.
Yeah.
I've pre-ordered the special edition.
Of course, yeah.
It's going to be one of our I bought a stupid things. So
does it come with a statue?
It comes with a lovely statue.
Amazing.
Yes. So we'll do an unboxing of that, I assume, at some stage. But yeah, no, I'm pretty happy with where we're going with this.
Yeah.
I did love Origins and Odyssey.
Yeah.
But let's get back to it. Let's get back to what it started off as.
I think they were good experiments. You know, they went in a different direction. And then we have RoboCop Rogue City.
Yes.
I saw the gameplay for it. It feels like an interesting take. Like the thing I'm kind of curious about, worried about, would be what's the movement like, because obviously you can hear the thudding of his movements because he's RoboCop. Is it going to be like a Bioshock 2 situation where you're kind of sluggishly moving around?
My understanding is quite sluggish.
Yeah.
You're basically a tank.
Yeah.
But it means you can stand out in the open and take a huge amount of fire,
which is good. Yeah, absolutely, because that's more kind of authentic to what RoboCop is. But like, you know, it'll be interesting to see. There's clearly like some good mechanics in there. Like you can fire against a certain part of the wall and it ricochets off. And it's all people, so that's great. There's some slow mo stuff. So it's maybe one I go for. I'm not 100% sure as yet. Not 100% sold. But Peter Weller is there. Like Peter Weller is doing the voice, which is may just tip it in his favor. And then the final thing I was looking at was Mortal Kombat 1, which has its new trailer.
Yeah. With we've got Homelander in it. We've got Omni-Man.
Yeah.
We've got Peacekeeper.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan game person.
Yeah.
I don't have the reflexes. I don't have the dedication to learn the moves and apply it, and the competitive scene, the Evos and all that kind of jazz is not something I'm really interested in as well. But I did enjoy the Injustice games. Greatly, but that was more for the story.
Yeah, I think sometimes with these games, because like you can look at the Mortal Kombat 1, and they've got Mortal Kombat 1 that they've got the new they've got a summon mechanic where you can like summon in people to assist you. But I think it needs, as you say, like a storyline or a gimmick for me to really kind of get me involved. Like Injustice would be an example. Mortal Kombat versus DC was an example. And I think depending on these kind of special characters that you can get, you know, RoboCop being a good example of like, it's sometimes I feel like it depends on these kind of extra characters that they pop in, because the the storyline around Mortal Kombat itself, I don't know, would pull me in as much as it would for someone else. And if Ed Boon's listening, like that's not a dig at you, Ed Boon, but maybe consider it.
Yeah,
maybe consider making it just all random. Make a Super Smash Brothers, but for Mortal Kombat, where it's just 20 random cinematic characters. You've got your Venom. You've got your Tom Hardy Venom. he's the first one. You've got the Iron Giant, but shrunk. You've got Ed 209, but like also shrunk. It's shrunk versions of massive fighters.
Yes, I think you're just really describing a Funko Pop fighting game at this point.
Hey, maybe that's not a bad idea. You heard it here first. X-Men 97 creators. So that's what we kind of got out of Gamescom. I'm sure there was a lot more stuff going on. I mean, Zack Snyder was there. He was chatting about Rebel Moon. He did the trailer for Rebel Moon. That was kind of an exclusive there. He was talking about how he's talked about before how he wants to make a video game for it. But I think that was because at different times in the last few years, he's pitched it as either a movie series or a video game series.
Well, was it not originally a script for Star Wars?
It was indeed.
Yes.
It was. And I think you can look at the trailer for Rebel Moon and you can see bits and pieces that, you can see how they could have been taken from
they have laser swords.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about the laser swords. Like, what's the cutoff point for Lucasfilm and Disney's lawyers, where if you have a film that has swords where the blade is essentially lasers, what point can they just not touch you? Like, I mean, I'm looking at the swords in the Rebel Moon trailer, and they look more like flaming swords. Like you've got kind of more of an exhaust and a flame situation going on. So maybe that's it. Maybe they're not.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see how you actually engage with these swords. So they're in your hilt. You pull it out.
Yeah.
Does it go zoom up?
Yeah.
Or is it already there? And all of it, is it like a metal core with this smoky, fiery stuff attached to it? If it's just going zoom up, then I think Lucas would have. Well, not George Lucas anymore. He's off on his farm.
Yeah.
Enjoying himself. But Disney
he didn't give two jots about it.
Disney will be all over it once they finish with Ron DeSantis.
Yeah. It'd be interesting if there was a conversation where he said, "Look, I want to make this film with you guys," and Star Wars said, "No," and he's like, "Oh, well, I'll make my own movie, and it won't be Star Wars." And I was like, "You're going to use lightsabers in it?" And he just looked at the floor and was like, "No, they're not going to be lightsabers. They're going to be flame swords, so it's going to be different."
Yeah.
And Laura's like, "Oh, he's called them something different."
Yeah, and it's going to have hippogriffs in it.
Yeah. Though I looking at that trailer, like there's a lot in it, and to be honest, I completely forgot when I was watching the trailer the first time around that it was 2 films.
Yes,
there's so much in it. Like it's a 3-4 minute trailer. Anthony Hopkins doing his best to tie the whole thing together with his narrative. But
there's too many too many influences in it, I think.
Okay. Let's reel them off.
We have Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars.
We have Harry Potter.
Yeah.
We have Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Sure.
We have, weirdly, I got a lot of John Carter from it.
Ah, interesting. Yeah. I'm on board with that.
The Conan-looking guy who was jumping on top of it wasn't a hippogriff. It was a.
Got to get it right. They're going to eat you alive if you get it wrong.
It's the other thing. The other thing with wings that looks like
a griffin.
A griffin.
Ah.
Yeah, he gave me a lot of John Carter vibes.
Okay, I get that. I was getting. There's definitely some Dune-esque stuff floating around there as well. I don't know if that's because that was the last kind of significant kind of space epic that we got. It's definitely got a lot of vibes going on. I'm interested to see how it's all pulled together because there is a lot of different stuff going on there. We know from experience that Zack Snyder makes very visually satisfying but very structurally indulgent stuff.
Yeah.
And he's already talking about the fact that there's going to be a director's cut of this film. So I think the 2 films combined, they're like 4 hours, and his director's cut's going to be 5 hours, which surprises me because I would think like Netflix just throws money at people to do as they see fit. Like,
well, they used to, not so much anymore, but it's part of his marketing cycle. at this point. Everything has to have a director's cut or the Snyder cut, as Justice League was called. But it's a lot to ask of your audience to engage with a 4 hour, obviously split across two different movies. Movie, and then go, sure, what if we put another hour on top of that? I'd be tempted just to wait and not watch the original cut.
So you would consider just watching the director's
cut? Because I've no burning desire to watch this as soon as it comes out to begin with. So yeah, I would definitely think about just waiting.
I am on the opposite side. I think I will definitely watch this thing as soon as it comes out. Just my curiosity is just too much to stop me from doing it. But it is interesting, like, you've been told, like, oh, these two films are going to come out and they're going to be great. But also, I've made a different version that I guess I prefer to this original version. It's kind of a weird way to describe it. Like, it makes you kind of second guess whether or not this thing is exactly going to be what it could be.
So, what he really should do is make the 5 hour version and then release a cut where it's shorter.
Well,
that would work for me.
Well, I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah. It's sort of like what people have been doing with Star Wars, the D-makes and stuff like that. What Topher Grace is off.
Topher Grace.
Yeah.
What a hero! What a man of the people. He's nothing like his character in the Ocean's 11 films. Where he's a mad guy in a hotel. What we didn't know is that the thing that was driving his mad was this prequel series of Star Wars episodes is too long. I better cut these down. But actually, well, while we're on that subject, why don't we move on to the topic of the day, which is director's cuts?
Yes.
Now, we've already talked there. Like, we mentioned the Snyder Cut. We mentioned Rebel Moon and how that's going to have a director's cut. Zack Snyder is a big part of the conversation about director's cuts, just because, as you say, he has a media cycle and he talks about his cuts of things a lot. And I think it speaks to the way he makes movies, which is he has a whole view of this thing and it's never going to be like a 2.5 hour movie in its entirety. And then it has to get cut down because they need to get a certain amount of screenings in a cinema. And then he brings up this new version, which I guess will make them a bit more kind of money off the top of it. And it's kind of closer to his original vision.
But also, when he's messed that cycle up at least once, and that was with Batman vs Superman.
Oh.
And there was the Ultimate Cut.
Yes.
Which I don't think many people knew existed. Because it just sort of flew underneath the radar. Much bigger story around the Justice League, because, the first one was
there were biplanes with banners flying around, like saying release the Snyder Cut.
But also the Justice League standard edition done with Josh Whedon, it just didn't land. It was pretty terrible in my opinion.
Okay. Well, let's
get a bit more fun with it.
Yeah, let's start with Zack Snyder's Justice League, which I suppose isn't a director's cut in the true sense of the word, but I think it is just the ultimate demonstration of
sweepings up from the editing floor.
Yeah, we can look at Zack Snyder's Justice League and say that's not the film that he would have made if he had just been left to do what he was going to do. Yeah. And obviously, barring other kind of very unfortunate things to happen to him with his daughter passing away. Yeah. But I don't think you can see, let's say, hypothetically, Batman vs Superman comes out. Everyone loves it. It gets over $1 billion, and Warner Brothers is like, Zachy boy, you've figured it out. You've cracked the code. Just keep on going with what you're going. And he goes with his, 2-part Justice League movie, and you are the golden goose with the golden caboose, and you're just popping out those eggs that we want. So go ahead, make the movies that you want to make. We're going to let you do whatever you want. And he comes out with his 2 movies. Like, they wouldn't have been what we got, which was this 4-hour movie that he popped out, which was just extra. It's super extra Zack Snyder.
Yeah,
like more so than we would have gone for an actual like cinematic release.
but it's not a film I want to watch again. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
you know.
I know what you mean. Like it's a lot, and it's not necessarily what you want. Like it's not really fair to compare it to like an Avengers or an Endgame, but like you want it to be kind of a satisfying conclusion. And the mistake that I think the Snyder Cut makes is that it does the same thing that Batman v Superman did, which was it leaves a load of like open threads that it's never going to be able to resolve. So it leaves in Nightmare stuff. It leaves in Martian Manhunter.
It leaves in Jared Leto.
Leaves in Jared Leto. No one should leave in Jared Leto. No one should let in Jared Leto.
No,
he's a scary man.
Yes.
But it's not doing what it could have done, which was just like tie everything up in a neat bow and just close it off. And I don't know if it's because he thought he'd be able to do more, or if he thought that they're giving me cash to do it, I'll put everything I can possibly put into this thing.
Yeah.
But I think by that point he must have been. I don't know if he maybe like I would have expected him to be kind of over it and thinking like, look, I'm going to do my other bits and pieces. Going to make my zombie movies. Going to make my space operas.
But God, I forgot about the zombie movies.
Oh yeah. Well, like his plan is to kind of alternate between Rebel Moon stuff and Army of the Dead stuff, because they were going to do Planet of the Dead, but that was shelved. But yeah, so it doesn't do what it maybe should have done. Now, not to say that film doesn't have its fans. It obviously does.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see that of the people and the bots who were clamoring for it to happen, like how many of them were satisfied with it and who said like, this is definitely what I wanted. And it's a tricky one because you wouldn't necessarily choose one or the other. I don't know about you. Like, if you had to choose between,
if I had to watch Justice League or Justice League Snyder Cut, it would probably be Justice League. That's just because it's shorter.
Yeah, I get that. It's got that fun Danny Elfman's soundtrack to it.
Yeah, but it also doesn't have all that faff, all that unedited, unstructured, tacked on at the end stuff at the end of the film.
Yeah,
you know,
maybe that was so.
And it was also a better aspect ratio. Stop forcing 4:3 on me. I don't need this.
It was an interesting choice for sure. Maybe there's a cut in the middle there. Maybe there's a cut between the two of them.
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about this film for the next 24 hours, but like what we can do now is let's look at because we made lists ourselves. We went off separately.
Yeah.
And we thought about the director's cuts that we like and ones that we don't necessarily like, and we thought we're just going to alternate between one another and bounce off one another, have a good old fashioned conversation about director's cuts. So I'll let you go first, gentlemen.
So top tier, number one, best director's cut, Aliens.
Yeah, not on my list, but one I did definitely consider.
It's a banger, absolute banger. It's hard to pick out what was the original stuff because I basically only really watched that version for the last 15 years.
Okay.
You know, but I know the stuff at the beginning where it's about talking about her daughter who's now grown up and all that stuff. That was all added into it. The gun turret stuff that was added into it.
Okay,
that's all. That's
a great part.
Yeah. And just the whole flow of the film just feels great.
Yeah.
The original Aliens was also a banger, but it felt more complete, felt more alive, and it's just a version I'll always go back to.
Yeah. I think that's fair, and it's not like it's a particularly lengthier cut either.
No,
like
it's only an extra 12 minutes or something like that.
It's tight as a drum.
Yeah,
tight as a bloody drum. No, I have to tip my hat to that. That is an excellent one, but I think maybe I can hop in.
Give it a go.
All right. This is kind of cheating because it's not just one movie; it's more of a series of movies. But I am going to have to talk about the Lord of the Rings extended editions.
Okay. Yeah.
Because again, like they're the ones that I will just automatically go to. For the longest time, I just watched the original ones because I was a kid and I didn't have my own money, so I could I watched the DVDs of the original ones. But like the thing about them is they do have long run times. Like that's the thing that people generally talk about with these movies when they don't really like them. Is it's I think the first extended edition is like 208 minutes. The next one's 226 minutes, and the next one's 252 minutes. Like they're long movies, but like I don't feel like they're long, and it's purely because I'm so in love with those movies and I watched them so much when I was a kid. But like the additional stuff that's in them, it doesn't feel like it's unnecessary extra stuff. It just feels like it all contributes.
Yeah, I think it frames it a lot better as well. There's a lot more context for what's happening and why it's happening.
Yeah.
Still not a lot of in regards to action. I don't think it adds too much.
No,
but it does. It's just adding that context that we were missing, especially for people who weren't familiar. But there's another example of a film or a series of films where I only watched the extended cut now.
Yeah.
I watched the originals when they were in the cinema.
Yeah.
I never went back to them.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. And like, I think there's just these fun extra nuggets that you get, like, and some of it's like funny stuff, and some of it is serious stuff. I feel like the ones that call out to me are, you've got in Return of the King, you've got the Mouth of Sauron, which isn't in the original, but you can see him played there. And it's just a tightly contained little scene there where he arrives and Aragorn just cuts his head off, and then they're like, you can see how they could easily cut it out of the original.
Yeah.
But no, it just makes it, like, as you say, like it's the one I go back to. Not so much with the Hobbit ones. I will say that, like, I think I stick with the originals when I go for the Hobbit ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't think I ever watched the originals of the Hobbit.
Oh, so you've only watched the extended ones?
Yes, because I didn't go to the cinema to see them, and then I only definitely only watched the extended versions.
I think I would go with the extended versions if it was all just additional dragon. That's all I really want. Like, just
lots of Smeagol.
No,
not Smeagol.
What? Even less Smeagol. More Smaug.
Oh,
man.
Smaug.
More Smaug. I don't care how you pronounce it. Just give me more of that.
Yeah.
Gorgeous dragon. But yeah, those would be my top choices.
Okay. The elephant in the room, of course, is Blade Runner.
Oh,
the final cut.
The elephant named Blade Runner in the room, along with Monkey Brian.
A lot of people would consider that to be the ultimate version of a director's cut.
Certainly, one of the more frequently cut movies for sure.
Yeah. I do have several versions, but I believe the one that I watch most is the final cut,
which is that's the one that I think the director Ridley Scott is the biggest fan of.
Yes,
yeah, because you have the apparently the theatrical run and then the director's cut, which is kind of not the director's cut because he didn't
have anything to do with it.
No, he didn't have anything to do with it. They just called it the director's cut. I think that was at a time where you just said director's cut. In a way to sell a different, like, VHS or DVD. But yeah, that last one is the one that he liked. And as far as I understand it, like, it's got no voiceover from Harrison Ford throughout the film. It's got a little more of the unicorn dream in the middle of it, and then there's none of the happy ending at the end when they're driving off.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
But surprisingly, like, that doesn't do anything to the runtime of this movie.
No.
Like, it's still...
The only thing it doesn't do is it doesn't bring in enough extra Edward James Olmos.
Oh, man. You just need as much of that as you can possibly get.
Yeah.
More like Edward James almost enough. I think that's...
I don't like it.
And that's...
No, I do like it.
And that is the moment when Patrick left the room.
This podcast is over.
That's the good thing about having these mics that are attached to our shirts, is that we can just, like, take one, this interview is over, throw it on the ground. But it's interestingly, the one little factoid I know about that is that the driving footage that they use at the end of Blade Runner for when they're leaving is apparently footage that was shot for The Shining.
Oh.
Apparently it was Stanley Kubrick's footage for when they're driving to the hotel, which I didn't know, but apparently is the case. But yeah, I can see what that would be. So so it's the final cut.
The final cut.
The final cut is
yeah.
We go for. And that's a good choice. Good choice.
Okay.
I have to agree. That was on my list. I will agree. That's how I had so much information just to hand. Is the Daredevil directors?
Oh,
yes.
Surprised. And this is good or bad?
It's an interesting one, like because I have a lot of love for Daredevil as a movie. Like I get what it was trying to do. I also get that it was 2003 and they were trying to do what X-Men was trying to do.
Yeah.
It was trying to maybe a little bit Matrixy, like more so kind of going for the later Marvel movies that have come out, like X-Men and Spider-Man, and less so like Blade, which would have been kind of pre-Matrix, but it's kind of kicked everything off. So the big difference is you have the Daredevil movie, which came out, which was like I think in the UK it was like a 15 or something. That was the rating on it. But the director's cut is R-rated. It is filthy. It's rotten to the core. That's why it's an R-rating. But actually, the reason is there's like a drug dealer subplot with Coolio in it.
Yeah.
And that adds on. I think there's like an extra 30 minutes of extra footage that goes into it. And it's just a bit more of a darker movie. Like it's a pretty dark movie in general, anyway. It takes place at night and it's all gritty, but it's got a bit of a balance with all the silly stuff that goes on, mainly because of Jon Favreau as Foggy Nelson.
Yeah,
that's the right name. I was going to call him Happy Hogan because that's his Iron Man character, but it does feel more like those Frank Miller Daredevil comics, more so than anything else. So there's like how there's the scene where he's going into his hyperbaric chamber and like there's a whole thing where he can hear someone like crying out for help, but he just kind of closes it over and doesn't do anything about it. So I think it's more of like an oddity because it changes the rating and it is that kind of darker version of it. And it's similar. It reminds me of, I didn't have this one on my list, but like the recut of the Wolverine where it had a bit more kind of gore into it and a bit more blood into it, and but it adds more to the story. I think the Daredevil.
Wolverine's the Japanese one.
Yes. But I think this one does a bit more for it, and I think it's because I have, as I said, because I kind of love that movie. Like I know it's not the best thing in the world. I know Ben Affleck probably hates it, and but it's I kind of still love it. Like Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin. I think he rivals Vincent D'Onofrio. I will say, I don't mind saying it. Like he's got a stone faciness to him that just really works for that character.
Yeah.
Even though he's not like Vincent D'Onofrio, and he's not the size of a fridge. Although I think they're pretty much the same size.
Yeah. But Jennifer Garner is coming back as Elektra.
Is this in
Deadpool?
Deadpool.
In Deadpool 3.
Oh, really?
That's my understanding. Yes,
I think that'll be alright. I'd say that's this is one of our classic tangents. I'd say what they're looking to do there is they're bringing in all like the old Fox stuff, and either they're going to kill it off in kind of a Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, or they're then going to roll that into like Secret Wars.
Okay,
that would be my expectation.
Yeah,
that they're going to draw a line over all of that Fox stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, so Daredevil. If you ain't seen it, see it.
Yeah.
You're not going to see it.
I'm not going to see it. I've watched it. I've watched it several times. I just don't need to see it again. I don't need to see Bullseye again.
No?
No.
You don't want to see him like...
I don't want to see him
playing with his...
rub a dart across his forehead.
No?
No, I don't need to see any of that. It was okay. What was the song? Was it Lap Dance? No. There's good music in it. That's all I remember.
There's no lap dances in it, Patrick.
No, there's good music in it.
Okay.
Evanescence is in there.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Big fan. But yeah, no, I don't think I'll be seeing it again.
Okay, well, I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
I'm sad. You've made me sad now.
Yeah. But like, I think Daredevil, I don't know if people feel that it added anything, that director's cut.
Yeah.
That wasn't necessary. And I think as we're talking about director's cuts, were they necessary, or or were they just superfluous?
Yeah.
The one that really stands out to me is the Dune director's cut from.
Here we go.
Oh
no, he's lost it.
I've lost it. You know the one with Sting.
David Lynch.
David Lynch.
David Lynch.
Yes, who famously was not involved with the director's cut of Dune.
Interesting. I did not know anything about this until you just told it to me.
It doesn't add anything. It spends a lot of time explaining the world of Dune.
Oh, okay.
There's lots more voiceovers, lots more context given.
Okay.
But the thing that made the original movie work was that it didn't go into that level of detail.
Yeah.
It especially when you think about that they were trying to cram so much into one movie.
Sure. It's not that long of a movie.
No. But the director's cut of that is just appalling. It adds nothing, and it really shouldn't have been done. David Lynch has often come out and said, "This is just nothing to do with me. I would never have done this."
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's the one that if you're going to go into a shop or you're going to go onto the Apple Store, it's the director's cut that's being pushed.
Which shop is this that I'm going into that has David Lynch's Dune on the shelves?
HMV.
Oh yes,
it's HMV right beside the Funko Pops.
The Funko Pop of Sting and Patrick Stewart. It's interesting, like because with Dune, like I know that wasn't really considered to be a success either. Like
it wasn't a great movie, but at least the original had a bit of mystery, a bit of magic to it.
Yeah,
you know.
I do know that when Jodorowsky, who tried to make Dune before David Lynch, I'm just going to pronounce his name wrong. So there's obviously the documentary about Jodorowsky's Dune where he tried to make it and it kind of all fell apart. Apparently he didn't want to go and see David Lynch's Dune, but I think his sons convinced him to go, and he went to see it. And he was like, "Oh, I feel much better because this is terrible."
Like it's not a great movie. I wouldn't recommend Dune to anyone.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think in terms of ones that we're talking about that are bad, I think this is a tricky one for me. This is another movie where I'll defend it to the day I die, probably, even if I live for 200 years, which could happen. Who knows? It's not going to happen. I need to stop convincing myself it is. Yeah. So we were kind of talking about it earlier, but the ultimate cut of Batman v Superman. I do want to bring it up because as I say, staunch advocate of that movie. I know it's not good. I know there are a lot of issues with it, and it is kind of the signal that this particular ship was going down. But like the original movie, I think works for me as a movie. Like it does everything I want it to do. But what the ultimate cut should have done but didn't do was saw off some of the additional stuff that didn't work. And when I say that, I mean like either finish off or provide a conclusion to like the nightmare scene or cut it out completely. Like I think there was an opportunity there with the ultimate cut, which I know Zack Snyder wasn't going to do because that's not the way he does his director's cuts. But there was an opportunity there to make it a neater film. Like you can look at Batman v Superman, you can take out the nightmare scene, you can take out the time travel bit with the Flash, you can take out the additional Justice League members, you can take out the bit at the end where the soil floats off the grave, which off the back of it makes no sense. You can take all that out and it's a better movie, I think.
Yeah.
A more sellable movie, I guess. But what he does is he just fills in additional plot points that weren't really the issue. Although it kind of answers questions from the original one, like explains more about like Lex Luthor's plan and this kind of stuff. But I think you had an opportunity there to make a neater film, and you kind of missed that opportunity. And now, who is it for? Topher Grace to do? Is it Topher Grace's responsibility to
We'll have to reach out and see. We'll have to get in touch with his people.
Topher, and I think I can call you Topher. If you're listening now, reach out to us. We'll give you the contact details at the end. But we'll have a conversation about this.
Yeah, but the problem as well is no one is going to praise the director's cut or the ultimate cut, because what people fixate on is the Martha scene.
Okay.
And whenever I have a conversation with people about Batman versus Superman, and
which is all the time.
Yeah, I'm like yourself. I'm a staunch advocate for it, but the first argument that people bring up is, "Oh, it's really stupid,"
Yeah.
Martha, and then they do stuff fun. That wasn't going to go away because that was always going to be the way Zack Snyder wanted that their dynamic to change.
Yes.
And no matter what you did with the core film, what you added, what you cut away, people are just going to fixate on that one scene.
It is a very rickety little bridge that is connecting the first two acts of the film with the third act. Yeah, that's fair. And I think you're right. Depending on how much you like the rest of that film, it becomes less of a deal that there's that whole scene. But yeah, I think for people who aren't as inclined to really enjoy it, then it's a big issue.
Yeah.
But not one to be solved. Certainly not one to be solved by us.
No,
we don't have the means.
I don't. I definitely don't.
I mean, our editing software is just not up to scratch at this point.
Yeah.
Do you have a final one that you want to talk about?
Not really. We could go into things like Apocalypse Now redo and all that, but for myself, no. Those are the ones that I sort of care about. Well, not Daredevil, but the rest.
You love it.
But the rest of them definitely, I think we covered. But there's another one that you want to.
I think the only one I really want to bring up is the Donner cut of Superman 2, which I think has been, it was.
Oh yeah, it wasn't very good.
That was Brian gasping.
I didn't like it.
I think that's I do like the Donner cut of Superman 2. I think compared to the original one that Richard Lester directed, it's a better movie. And it's got less kind of janky reshoots in it, like in comparison. And I think it's just made with a bit more love and a bit more kind of consistency.
See, I grew up with Superman 2 on ITV on a Saturday or Sunday morning.
Yeah.
It would have been UTV over here in the free parts of the world. And
for those who don't know, we're recording from the Republic of Ireland.
Yes. But that's the version that I liked.
Yeah.
And I remember once I had my own money, I could do my own thing, going out and getting the Donner cut and being so excited and bringing it home and then watching it and going, this is not the Superman 2 that I love.
And would I be right in thinking that the one you watched on TV, does that have the bit at the end where the three Kryptonians get arrested? That the police cars come along and pick them up at the end?
No,
because there are certain TV cuts apparently that have that.
No, they get thrown into the abyss in the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah,
that's the only ending I've ever seen.
Okay, I haven't figured out what cut that bit belongs to. But no, I think also because the Donner cut also has like Marlon Brando's back. There's no weird scenes where like Gene Hackman clearly didn't come back, so they have to just film the back of his head, this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, like those aren't my favorite superhero movies, but they are ones that I have a fond affection for. And even though I do want to do a quick shout out for the only because it's been in, I don't want to say the word zeitgeist because I
not sure how to apply that word.
Sure, yeah. Yes. I'm gonna roll the dice and say it's been in the zeitgeist. Conversations about the Schumacher cut of Batman Forever.
Oh yes,
yeah,
that popped up and then very quickly died.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I think it was Kevin Smith said he did a screening of it and this kind of stuff. And just because there's some deleted scenes that exist on like the DVD where a lot of those are part of this cut, and apparently it's just a bit darker and it goes into more like Batman's psyche and Chris O'Donnell as Robin plays less of a part. And there's a big bat, it's a big man-sized bat.
Yes,
but it's not Man Bat. It's just a man-sized bat. But that is one. If they said that was coming out, I'd be up for watching that.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
Yeah, if that's what turns the tide on it, then we're going to be heroes.
Yeah.
I think that covers off our conversation about director's cuts.
Yes.
I think what we can do now is I think we can probably put a pin in this charming afternoon that we've had. Patrick, do you want to tell us what you're if you're reading anything at the moment? Is there any special book in your life that you're reading at the moment?
I am currently reading The Justice of Kings. It's about a set in medieval world where the emperor's justices, basically judge, jury, and executioner,
Yeah.
are wander the countryside, anywhere where there's no courthouses, and they bring the emperor's justice. So they're the final word in the law. So people wait for months, years to see these people and bring their grievances. The justices have their own special set of powers, but it's set at a time when there are competing factions within the empire who are, you have the justices on one side, and then you have the church on the other, and they want the powers that the justices have, because the justices have a voice that compels people to answer questions. Some of them have necromancy powers, so they can question the dead. The church wants those powers so that they can go off into other lands and spread the word of their gods. And it centers around a female character who is the assistant of the justice that we're currently following, and she's recanting what happened in those early days. So she's older now, but she's sort of telling the story of what happened to her as she was younger. Very compelling. Lots of detective stuff, lots of war stuff, lots of political stuff. It's very very good. And there's a sequel already out, and I'm really looking forward to reading that.
And who writes those books?
I'm going to have to add that in later on.
We'll add it in post.
Yes, I'll add that in post.
It sounds like medieval Judge Dredd.
Yes, a bit like that.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
I am reading the 4th book in the Marcus Heitz Dwarfs series.
Oh, yes.
Is a translation of the German version, which I think is called like Die Zweige. But it's the 4th book, which is the Fate of the Dwarves, which was supposed to be the original end to the series, but I think they've done an additional one off the back of it anyway. But like the first 2 books were really good. The 3rd one was not so good and not great translation on it. But the 4th one is pretty compelling, and I'm enjoying it. I've only got like 100 pages of it left. But
they're big old chunky boys.
They are big old chunky boys, and they are, the look of seeing them on the shelves when I was younger was kind of what drew me back to reading like fantasy novels.
Just to go back to The Justice of Kings, it's by Richard Swan.
Richard Swan, and this is not in post. This is live. This is
live.
The book.
I went and found the book.
Yes, absolutely.
But no, I haven't started the Dwarves books. They're sitting on my shelf. I'm looking at them right now, and I have the first 3. And they're just a commitment that I'm not ready for right now. I've been hurt before. It's
a good world, and in the 4th book, not to kind of, I don't think it spoils anything, but it's set like 250 years after the 3rd book. So like, there's different races in it. There's humans and elves and dwarves, obviously, but like the human characters have all died out, and it's like their ancestors, and some of the dwarves are there, and some of them are ancestors of the dwarves, and it's a good story, because all of the rules, because the dwarves are basically the protectors of this realm, and they stand on like the walls outside of this world to protect it from dark forces. But it's now set 250 years later, and like the world has just been divvied up by like an evil wizard, a dragon, a weird dragon-like creature that's not exactly a dragon called a Caudrian, and dark elves. So it's them basically trying to figure out how they can get rid of these governing forces. But yeah, I would recommend it as a series. So
no,
Patrick, get cracking.
No, it's too much.
Okay, I think we can wrap things up there. So what I'm going to do, Patrick, is I'm going to let you bring the good people through our how to get in touch with us.
Yes. So if you want to send us any questions, or if you have any corrections for anything that we said here, because we've waffled on a bit. If we said anything that is factually incorrect, please let us know, and we will address those in our next podcast.
Yeah. Did I say zeitgeist wrong? Did I use it incorrectly?
Please let us know how to use the word zeitgeist.
Yeah.
So you can contact us on info@balrogsblasters.com.
So it doesn't have the and in it.
Doesn't have the and,
which is good. It makes it neater.
Yeah, because it looked like with the and it was Balrog Sand Blasters.
Balrog Sandblasters. That's what it should have been.
Which makes it sound like a company that sandblast metal parts for you.
Oh yes, it's a Tolkien themed. It's a Tolkien themed company that does sandblasting.
You can also get in touch with us through Instagram.
Yeah,
we're on there, and
what's our handle on Instagram?
Our handle on Instagram is Balrogs Blasters.
Yes,
and same with Facebook.
Amazing.
We only have a Facebook group, and then of course through the website, where we will be posting about our videos. We'll be posting about our podcasts, and if we get into the mood, we might write some articles, put them up there as well. But it's really early days for us.
Yeah.
We're just trying to get our feet under us and make sure what we're producing is quality.
Yeah.
We're not here. This isn't our full-time job. This is just something we're doing as a side gig. That
for the love of it.
For the love of it.
Yeah.
Because we're never going to make any money from this.
No. That's not what we're doing.
No.
We're doing it for the thrill of the chase.
However,
chasing the stories, chasing the topics.
However, talking about money.
I'm not going to lend you money, Patrick.
No. We are going to have a Patreon.
Oh, amazing. I'm also surprised by all of this news. Yes. Patrick, you've been so busy putting all this stuff together.
We're just working on the tiers, the reward tiers, but it's not going to be anything excessive. We're talking about maybe €2.50 for an entire year.
Yeah.
And that will get you access to podcasts early.
Yeah, exactly. Or if we can figure out any kind of additional stuff that we can add that's of value.
Yeah, like we have a little bit of merch together as well, but nothing in the volumes that we'd be able to send out for our Patreons.
Yeah.
But we'll figure that out. And as soon as we know, we'll let you know. But it's not going to be something that we're going to be talking about every single podcast.
Yeah.
We're not going to be hounding you. We'll mention it every now and again.
Yeah. So it won't be a situation where I'm like, Patrick, what the hat you've got on? That flat cap. That's really nice. What design has it got on it?
Well, it's the Balrogs and Blasters Balrog.
Of course. I knew I recognised it. But Patrick, how do I get my hands on one of those?
We don't know yet.
Oh. But surely there must be a Patreon, Patrick, where I can get access to it.
So the hopefully one day we'll have a store. It's finding a supplier for these kind of things that's not going to rip us off and can be integrated with the store and stuff like that. But we're not buying thousands and thousands of t-shirts and hats to get a discount, and then
we simply don't have the room to store.
No. Or the money.
No.
But yeah, that's so Instagram, Facebook group, the website, and the email.
And we're going to be on YouTube possibly as well.
We have a YouTube channel as well. We're going to be putting up some videos there. We already briefly mentioned the I've Bought a Stupid Thing series.
Yes, absolutely.
If I can, I will edit this into a video as well, the podcast. And where we talked about the trailers, I'll try and show those trailers. And I just have to get my head around that. It might not be for the first podcast, but we'll keep an eye out there. We'll also be doing a bit of streaming. We're on Twitch as well, but that's not ready to go live yet.
That's a sneak bit of information.
Yeah, the Twitch is there. We've logistics stuff to work out there.
Just log on to Twitch now, and just keep refreshing it every few minutes. Like we'll get to it eventually. Just keep searching for it.
Yeah.
All right, I think we can put a pin in the day. So for myself and yourself, Patrick.
Yes, thanks for listening. If you're still with us, I'm amazed and surprised. I think we're at the hour and 40 minutes mark now. So
that's not as long as I thought it was. You know, talking to you was such a chore, Patrick, that I was sure it was 3 hours long.
And you're the friend I always wish I had.
The best friend, the best friend in a group of best friends. All right. Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.